This shit too high. This shit too high. Get out my face. Yeah.
I don't know.
Come.
You know, we might have to hold it off on each other. Okay, so we're back. We're gonna get started in just one moment. Brothers tonight. Got out there, got us good soul food. Man, let's clap it up for the brother out there. Isaiah and his rib out there providing food for the event. Man, that's what we do. I'm talking about supporting Black and Latino businesses. That's how you do it, man. Show some brotherhood, sisterhood. Yeah. So if I will, this is the Indianapolis ISUBK City Hall Meeting Part 2. We're tackling issues that are dear to the Indianapolis community for the Black and Latinos in our communities. And we got a guest panelist this evening. If I will, let's go down the line. Get the mic for the brother, and he can reintroduce himself, and we'll just go down the line.
How you doing? My name is Michael Wilson. I am an artist and youth worker here in Indianapolis.
That's what's up.
I'm Officer of 1,000, model of the ISUBK under Commander Giuliano.
Officer 5,000, times out of ISUBK Commander Giuliano.
So, our panelists, we're going to talk about some questions that I know everybody can relate to here in Indianapolis. We're going to change the format a little different for the sake of time. So, I'm going to present a question, and the response, we're going to limit it to 1 minute time, and we're going to only take 3 comments per question. So, we'll be picked at random. It's just no rhyme or reason. I'll just do it like that. So if I will, I'm going to present the first topic, and it's on potholes. Now, it's a funny thing. I was in the East Halls military, and I was stationed in Guantanamo Bay, Cuba, where they had the minefields and stuff. And I tell you what, driving through Indianapolis, it seems like it's much more of a task than driving through that minefield. You know, you swerving, good night. So we're going to talk about these potholes, and the first question is going to be, do you have potholes in your neighborhood? If so, has the city attempted to fix the potholes in a timely manner? Anybody like to?
And if I could, listen, we're not going to limit it to how many brothers can comment on it. Just keep them at 1 minute so we can get, brothers might get into it. But I will say one thing about the potholes. There was a pothole in front of us over here on Keystone, and it popped my tire. I called the city to complain about the pothole. They said they already knew it was there. My thing is, if you already knew it was there, why didn't you fix it? How long does it take to fill a pothole? Like, do you have another city that you got to take care of? Or is this the city you paid to take care of? Because my thing is, how long does it take? If you know about it, it shouldn't take. If I call a cop and he'd be here in 5 minutes to shoot me or to arrest me, well, I should be able to get a pothole filled just as fast.
Right.
So I don't think they're responding fast enough to these potholes at all. When it's almost a month or so before they fill them up after the winter starts.
Right. So if I will, what is your expectation of fast? What is your definition of fast?
My expectation is if we're in the richest country in the world, supposed to be the most developed nation in the entire world, that they should be able to fill potholes as soon as they appear. As soon as the winter is over and the potholes appear, they should be out there the next day filling them up. They know it happens every year. Right. If I go to Brownsburg, if I go to Carmel, they're using better pavement and they ain't dealing with these pothole problems. Right. Apparently, you using cheap pavement for the Black community, which is what's going on.
And if I may interject, can you explain to the audience what Carmel is and the communities you're talking about?
Yes, Carmel is a armpit town, and Brownsburg is some couple armpit towns that get money and resources from the city of Indianapolis, from the Black communities in Indianapolis to help fund their communities. And they're very taken care of. They're very well taken care of. And then people like to say, well, because they have more money, but at the end of the day, they also get more money from the city of Indianapolis. They get their jobs are in Indianapolis. Their resources come from Indianapolis. So there are armpit towns who steal resources from the black communities to help theirs.
Another question. When you say armpit town, define that for people that might not know, if you don't mind.
Okay, an armpit town is a town that lives around a black community that gets funds and resources that's supposed to be allocated for that black community. So for example, they got bus lines that they're making go through the black community, and with these updated stations with Wi-Fi and special lanes to go from the armpit towns to the downtown through the black community, but they not the black community's bus stations don't have Wi-Fi. They barely have seating, but they'll build whole big stations with Wi-Fi and everything, all type of roofs and lids and chairs for the armpit towns to get in, and then get back out.
Last question, because this is so interesting to me. What is the demographic of the people that live in those armpit towns?
Well, the majority of the armpit towns are Caucasian run and led. Now there is black people sprinkled in the armpit towns who live in the armpit towns, which a lot of times are suburbs outside the cities. But the majority that's in the armpit towns and that run it are Caucasians.
Thanks for that comment. Clap it up for that. Wow. You learned something. That's why we tell everybody to come out here in Indianapolis for the Indianapolis ISUPK City Hall meeting, because it's about learning and taking back what we learned to our communities and empower our communities. So with that, does anybody else have a comment concerning the potholes?
I mean, I think the brother really summed it up. You know, that was going to be my similar situation as, you know, in the hoods and the impoverished areas, the potholes are prevalent. But you ride down 82nd Street and I don't swerve when I'm down 82nd, 86, when I'm in the Calcium area. When I'm north of 56th Street, there's less potholes there. So for those who don't live in Indianapolis, you know that, well, you don't know, but north of 56th Street is largely white, largely middle class to upper class communities. And so, you know, our communities get neglected. The thing is like, you know, they say they have more resources, but we all pay the same taxes, right?
All right.
You know, so I feel as though our tax money should come back to our community then. And so that should come in the form of, you know, fixing these potholes, you know?
Right.
So, like I said, the brother, he spoke about it very well, so I'm just end it with that.
So appreciate that comment. So with that said,
I just want to make a comment. I think it's not right. When you look at what a pothole is, it's a very simple thing. So it's not like something that they need to formulate a action plan around and, you know, come up with some big complicated process. You go get some of the asphalt or whatever the mixture is, you drive a truck around, you dump it in there, and you pat it down. And I think what they summed up, both of them, is that it shouldn't take this long. And so there's no mystery to it. You can clearly see that we're not getting the same treatment, you know, in the inner city as, you know, this, like Kevin Kapos called armpit cities. And I think really that's the issue. I'm used to potholes. It ain't no big deal. I drive around it. I can make it without it. But then the rub is when you go somewhere else in the nicer neighborhood, air quotes, right? Then they don't have the same issue. So that's really what pisses people off, is the disparity.
I appreciate it. Now, I will say this, sir, because I do know you personally. You drive a big pickup truck.
Right.
Now, some people out here driving a little compact car, so I think they would have an issue with that, but we all got our opinions here. So that goes right into my next line of questioning, and that is, do you believe your tax dollars are effectively addressing the pothole issue in Indianapolis?
And I like to start real quick with that, for sure. Our tax dollars are not being put back into our communities, into these problems, because a pothole on 35th and Keystone, I hit, busted my tire. I went and paid about $100 to get a new tire. I'll follow the official way to get your money back for a city. I took a picture. I took a video of the pothole. I took a picture of my car. I went downtown, filed a tort claim, a TORT claim, which is what you have to file to get money back for hitting a pothole. They said they will respond in 90 days. It's been past 90 days. They haven't said nothing. So I filed it and I I gave them the video evidence, picture evidence, receipts. I gave them everything they needed. And I reported the pothole, which they said they already knew about. And they have not responded back to give me my reimbursement for my money. And that's us in the black community. Now, I bet if the oppressor driving his Lexus around hit something, they would have been taking care of him. But because I'm black and I'm in the ghetto, I'm male, and all these other discriminatory demographics that they use, I get no response after filing the tort claim. So I'd love to hear. That's why we invited the Citizens Complaint Office. That's why we invited the IMPD. That's why we invited a sister running for constable. That's why we invited the prosecutor's office, so we can get some answers from these type of people and hear what they have to say about these problems. But obviously, they have better things to do. So that's why I don't feel our tax dollars is coming back to us, because they owe me at least $100 and something for busting my tire on a pothole that was so big that it went up to my calf. I went and took a picture of me stepping in the pothole. It was up to my calf. You understand? So we're talking about almost a half a foot deep, almost a foot deep into the ground of a hole of a pot, which they should have been fixed. And this was way after the winter when they should have fixed this. But so I don't want to take it all, but go ahead. That's it.
Thank you for that comment. Anybody else like to comment on that?
Yeah, real quick, it's not, again, this is not a complicated thing. It's obviously the tax dollars are not going where they should be going. And I think, again, it's one of those things where they say we have a voice, but clearly we don't have a voice, because you talk to the average citizen, they're going to complain about the potholes. Everybody does. So it's not like, again, it's not a mystery. So does our tax dollars go where they need to go? No, absolutely not. And it's not a mystery that they don't. And nobody who lives in the inner city would agree that they do go. And if they do, then they're getting a side cut.
Right.
Appreciate that comment. Anybody else like to?
I believe did Shamash run to the bathroom? I know he had a similar story. He hit a pothole and busted a tire as well.
Okay.
He went to the bathroom.
Yeah, that goes into the next question, actually, and it reads: have you or someone you know of had a vehicle that was damaged as a result of a pothole? Of course, you explained that.
Yeah, and if I could, I seen another incident. One time I was driving down rural, so towards the south side, and a brother was driving. He's driving a Chevy Impala, and he was making a pass. While he was making a pass, a huge pothole was there, and he swerved to get out of the pothole, ended up hitting his car against a bridge and a divider and the bridge, and almost wrecked his whole vehicle. I guarantee you that brother ain't gonna get a new vehicle by the city for having to swerve around a pothole while he's making a pass. That's the reason I hit a pothole, because there was a vehicle next to me. I couldn't side ram the vehicle next to me. So I said, well, damn, I'm just going to have to try to go past and go through this pothole. And next thing you know, poof, busting my whole thing up, busting my whole vehicle's rim up. So I've seen brothers wreck entire vehicles because of the condition of the streets of Indianapolis, Indiana, of a United States of America, supposedly the top country in the whole world, and blah, 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 and the richest and the place of liberty and this and that. When you got brothers crashing to swerve the street conditions of the streets.
I appreciate that.
And Shamashwan, if you could bring your incident about when you hit a pothole.
So it appears that these potholes are so deep, they even present a hazard.
Yeah.
From what you're saying.
Yep.
Wow. So that's something that we need to contend with here in Indianapolis, Blacks and Latinos. Of course, we don't have the plans for the streets and to be able to do any kind of construction on it, but you have a
Yeah, I just want to say it's a small thing. You may think like it's like a insignificant thing to complain about, but it affects your day-to-day life. It's like even in the cul-de-sac that I stay in, it's like potholes, or not cul-de-sac, subdivision that I stay in, like on the streets. Like this is not a main street. This is in my neighborhood where I drive. So although people may run across this video and they may say, These guys are just complaining. It affects your everyday life. We got multiple examples. It's costing you money. It's one thing when I cost myself money. It's another thing when I'm doing what I'm supposed to do and the city's costing me money. This is supposed to be a place where I can thrive and provide for my family, and it's hindering me from doing such.
That's right.
And if I will, I'm from down south, I'm from Kentucky, and I guess we got it made because potholes are not that much of an issue. When you drive the streets, the vehicle runs smooth and drives smooth. You get here and you're looking in your rear view, and people's trying to, speed you up to run in one of these potholes, and it slows you down, and you got to focus on. So it's definitely an issue that affects the Black and Latinos in this community. I tell you what, I guess the only thing that we can do at this point is try to avoid them and really put the pressure on the government in this community to fix the potholes. We invited the people from that particular organization. They didn't come down.
And if they can't fix it, give the ISUBK the money. We'll go fix the damn potholes, man. We'll go pay some brothers who's sitting on the corner who you say ain't nothing, you can't do nothing right, you're drunks and high and this and that. We'll go get those brothers, put them in a van, attached to a trailer that got the tar, and we'll drive around town and fill the potholes. Like the brother said, it shouldn't be a big deal. We're not talking about a nuclear power plant here. We're talking about the damn potholes.
To that point, like I remember a couple of years ago, I think it was like at the height of the pandemic, the potholes were humongous, but they hid behind the pandemic of, not working and not having anybody to fill the potholes. Somebody start going out and just filling them with sand. You know what I mean? Putting
cones or something.
Cones into the street so you at least could see them. I mean, y'all can do that. And if y'all can't go out and fill it immediately, put a cone up in front of it so we know what is coming up, so we can all slow down and move around it. I'm sure you're getting the complaints. The least you can do is go out there and put a warning sign. Be careful. Potholes abundant. And so I done hit a few potholes and messed up my car, messed up my rim, flattened my tires, and I didn't do all as much as the brother did because I knew they weren't gonna do anything.
Right.
So I just kept it moving. But I mean, it's ridiculous. It's not just an inconvenience; it's a danger, it's a hazard. Somebody can swerve and hit another car. I've swerved and nearly hit other cars. Driving under a bridge and noticing at the last minute, oh, that's not just a puddle, that's a pothole.
Right.
Right. And you can't stop fast enough.
All right.
Especially how deep some of these I mean, not even deep and wide. Like going slowly, you might scratch the bottom of your car. On some of these potholes, like you said, minefield potholes. It's big.
That's right.
So if I will, what I gathered from the suggestion is that, the city of Indianapolis coordinate with the ISUPK under Commander Joe Yohana and fund a work program, and the ISUPK here in Indianapolis will put brothers to work to fix those potholes. That's a solution. The city of Indianapolis can fund the brothers to, provide the material, provide, of course, the labor fees, and that's one solution. So it sounds like something that definitely we can arrive to better our Black and Latino communities. So
Right.
with that,
And if I could, while we doing that, they can focus on Carmel and Noblesville and the other little armpit towns that they really focused on. They can just give us money. We'll fix the city here in Indianapolis in the inner city. And they can focus on the towns that they want to focus on, the 96 streets and Norris and all that.
I appreciate that comment. And it goes into what you were saying, putting brothers to work, which goes into our next line of questioning, immigration. We know that a lot of our Latino brothers come from the border to make a better life for themselves, and they got to work. However, they're paid low wages, and their opportunities are limited because of their residency, if you will. So with that said, got a couple of questions. And the first one is, do you think immigration policies in the United States have helped Hispanics and Haitians as much as they have helped Ukrainians enter the country. Anybody like to tackle that one?
I'll start there, if you don't mind. No. No. I've never seen Biden picking up and holding a Haitian child, a Haitian refugee. I've never seen pictures of Trump or anybody else congratulating anybody from Mexico, Guatemala, anywhere South America looking for asylum, with welcoming arms. Immigration is really just a false flag to say, let's be racist. Let's find a way to inflict racist policies and racist procedures onto a group of people who need help.
Right.
But when a European country or citizens need help, there's no immigration problem.
Right.
Like you always want to talk about immigration, but the first thing that pops in your mind is a Mexican. But there's a lot of immigrants here. There's a lot of people who come over here illegally, or stay after their paperwork is done. But you don't hear anybody talk about that. They're not trying to kick those people out.
Right.
They want to talk about the drugs and the crime that comes with the Mexican and the South Americans. I mean, the Russians have mafias, of course. Italians and other European cultures have gangs and cliques and illegal organizations. So why aren't they included when we talk about the immigration issues?
Right. That's right. And if I could, the Israelite School UPK under Commander Jay Hanna, we have been designated as greeters of the naturalization ceremonies here in Indianapolis, which I was honored to attend at some point. But when I went to the immigration ceremony, I expected it to be like 80% Mexican. It was more like 10% Mexican and 90% Africa, India, Europe, Afghanistan, and any place you throw a dart on the map, they were there. Besides Mexicans, I said, what the hell? I would figure it'd be overrunning with Mexicans who's filing paperwork. But somehow the oppressor, which is his normal devious ways, he done got every other people all over the world above the Mexican brothers who are right border trying to get here every day, every second. So don't think they try to say, oh, just do the right immigration policy, you can get in that way. That's BS. If you know anything about the oppressor, he'll tell you go ahead and fill out the paperwork just so he can lose it, just so he can say he didn't get it, just so he can say the box 7 wasn't filled out right. So now your whole paperwork, you got to redo it. So I just wanted to bring that out. We've been at the naturalization ceremonies of Indianapolis. They brought in 250 immigrants, about 5 of them were Mexicans. So we're the problem with that. About 2 of them were Haitians. We got a strong Haitian community too. They brothers need to get with us.
So just to elaborate, when you say oppressor, could you clarify to the
Oppressor is the white race. They oppressors, which means they do things together as a collective, as a government, as a city, as a state, to hold Black, Hispanic, and Native Americans back from any forms of progress.
Thank you.
Well, the brother has something he wanted to say something too.
I just want to add on to it. It's a system. And a lot of times you hear people say the system is broken. No, the system is fixed. ED is fixed. It is rigged. It is set up so that we won't succeed. What you were talking about, the paperwork and all the bureaucracy that someone has to go through to become a legitimate citizen of this country, it's just more bullshit that they can use against you down the line. And it reminded me of an instance where a guy was coming into the program I work with. He did some volunteer work and he was on probation. And he had to turn in all of this volunteer work, all this paperwork to show, he did what they asked him to, and they were going to drop his charge from felony to misdemeanor, reduce his probation time, and and he was clear. He gave him all the paperwork, all this stuff, all these things showing, okay, I did this, I did that, I paid this person, I paid that person, Gave it all to the lawyer, to the clerks, to the people. He was on the van. They removed the van after he did all this. And he thought he was good. This was like 2 years ago. He was trying to get a job, and the job was like, hey, can you give us some to show that you're clear with all your criminal
Background
and all that other stuff. He said, sure. He reached out to his lawyer and to the judge. It's like, hey, I need, some of that stuff that I turned in and paperwork. They're like, we don't have that at all. Matter of fact, we have a warrant for you because we don't have that.
What?
Right. So he's like, wait a minute. I got a warrant. It's like, how do I get off probation if I don't turn all this stuff in? How do y'all release me from probation without all the paperwork showing I've done what I'm supposed to?
Right.
And they try to say that was a clerical error. So a clerical error got me off probation, and you will not believe this. He was white. So they would do their own the same way. You know what I mean? It is a system that is designed to keep anybody who falls out of line held down as much as possible.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I will say this, since we're talking about blacks and Latinos, and this goes, do you want to comment on that, sir?
I did one.
Okay, let's go.
Yeah, I just wanted to say, anybody who ever asked this question, it's easy if you just did just a little bit of research. A lot of the raids that, the ICE raids that they have, these are in majority Hispanic facilities and places where they work. When is the last time you heard them raid Chinatown or raid, some of these East Indian places? And these are very highly, immigrated sections of the country that they never bother at all. You normally hear about, Hispanics. And so just look at the cases of Hispanics being beat on the border, locked in cages on the border, and how they're treated. And then just pull up stories about the Ukraine and how they're getting, billions of dollars and being offered education funds to come over here and live in stipends, these different things. So clearly anyone who doesn't have their head, up the behind will clearly see that there's no equality and that there's no equity and that there's clearly a disparity between how they treat, who we would classify the lowest chosen people as opposed to people outside of that spectrum.
Right. And if I could give one quick example, then even myself, when I was on probation, and I did the same thing what the brother said, filled out all the paperwork, paid all the money, get to all the volunteers, crap, got all that in. I went in there, I said, hey, I went to the clerk. I said, hey, I did it all. I got the money in, I got the volunteer hours, the time is up, I passed all my urination tests. What happens now? They're like, oh, well, I'm like, well, can I get a piece of paper that show that I'm complete and I'm done so I can have for my records? Well, no, you need a lawyer for that. I said, I need a lawyer? Why can't I just get it right here, right now? Well, she started talking slick, but I caught her say something. She said, you can fill it out now. So I said, well, give me a piece of paper right now. I took a piece of paper. I said, I want to file to have my probation, done with. Wrote on a piece of paper, signed my name, gave it to her. Said, good, let's do it like that. At this time, she was getting mad. The other cops in there was getting mad. So I'm like, great. I'm like, well, she's like, okay, thank you. I'm like, well, can I get some proof, like a stamped paper or something to show so I don't just leave here empty-handed? You can just throw the paper away. All the cops in there mad and everything like that. So it's a whole battle in there to get this done. And so eventually another lady comes into her, says, touch her shoulder, says, I got it, here. And she gives me a piece of paper with the stamp of the city saying that I turned the paperwork in. Then a cop after that comes up and says, hey, when somebody tells you that, he starts mouthing off at me. I had enough discipline from Commander Johanna say, F you, but I ain't say F you. I said, look, I already got what I needed. I got my stamp certificate to say I'm done. I don't know why I got to argue with you folks. I just left his ass sitting there on red. But this is what this is what you got to, you damn near got to catch a case to get off the case after you're done.
Right.
Like what he's saying, they talking about they don't know where your paperwork is. It done disappeared. All of this is further ways to keep the black man down. And for anybody to say it don't exist, ask the average black man. He'll tell you. The scriptures say, ask your fathers, and they'll show thee. Ask the generations before you, they'll tell you. You understand all these things. That the white man is the devil the Bible speaks of.
That's right.
So it's time for our brothers to come together and wake the hell up and stop being asleep in this place, man. But yeah, I just wanted to bring that out because I damn near had to catch, who knows how that could have went. I could have been in there fighting 5 or 6 cops because I'm trying to get my paperwork in order and they trying to deny me my paperwork of being done. That's what they do.
Well, that was a very strong stance. The white man being the devil.
Right.
Damn right.
According to the Acts, it's hard to refute the evidence. So with that said, we do have to move along, and I do got a question that we need to tackle. So here's the next question. Do you believe the United States government separated Ukrainian families and put them in cages like they do Hispanic families on the border?
I see these questions as loaded. These questions is to get people excited. Well, y'all know we do street meetings on these topics. There's obviously no footage of that. That's not going to happen because they don't treat their own like that, and the world sees it. America thinks that the world doesn't see what's going on. You have United Nations members step up and say, "Well, America, you can't talk about me. You shoot down black people in the streets. You lock Mexicans in cages." The world sees the horrors of America. It's just we that live within the borders of America don't want to come to terms with how bad it is. And it's bad. It's beyond bad. And once we open our eyes, like Captain was saying, once we open our eyes to the evils of this country, we can start putting things into perspective. And you know that you can't depend on this nation to help you rise up as a people. Only the Lord can do it.
That's right.
All right.
It's like, if I could real quick, not only do we know that they don't do that to their own people, but they also allowed for Ukrainians to come into America through the Mexican border. You understand? Like, there's brothers as well as sisters that had to watch the Ukrainians coming through their borders, they themselves not only were in them ICE facilities, suffering the hell, have their children ripped from them, had to live in the most horrid conditions, but they also know people who got locked up in the ICE facilities. But meanwhile, Ukrainians, they got to just walk on by. You understand? There was no kind of frisking. You understand? There was no real checking their green card or none of that. They allowed for them to come in simply because they are also oppressors. You understand? They're devils from another land that America values more than so-called Hispanics that help build up their disgusting country. You understand? Like, this place is absolutely hell for so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians.
And I mean, if you look at the news, you'll see, not the mainstream news, but you'll see there's a reason they let them in because they hold up the code even over there. When Africans in Ukraine were trying to flee Ukraine from the Russian invasion, they kept them from getting on the train. They brought up a blockade. And this isn't like the army. This is citizens in Ukraine letting go. They put up a blockade refusing Africans to get on the train so they can flee. It's funny how whenever we go to war, whenever there's somebody does something in the world, when they're brown, their family members or those nationalities over here in our country become under target. When we go to war with Islamic country, then the people of Islamic faith or who are from that land or just appear like they're from that land get what's the word I'm looking for? Abused, get
That's right.
targeted by both police and by so-called vigilantes, but like no one's targeting Russians right now. You haven't heard any news of anybody going after a Russian-born person living in America and attacking them. I'm pretty sure they still sell Russian vodka at some of these liquor stores right now. So, they never attack their own.
All right.
But when they're out there in the world causing trouble. But let a black country, let a brown country do something wrong. Oh, we can't trust him, and they have to attack every citizen that they have over here in the country right now.
It's a great comment. Appreciate that. Got one more comment on the question?
It's like, not just that we won't ever see that, but kind of rub it in with what you was just saying. Not only are they not letting blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians on trains to flee, they kicked off men and women, and just like you said, you had to search for these things. They didn't put it on the mainstream. If I may, Cap, what nation is Russia? Magog? God?
Gog and Magog. Oh, they'd be Gog.
Them damn Gogonites, the same with Ukraine.
God, Ukraine would be Magog in the scriptures.
Them damn Gogonites, they kicked black women and children off of the trains for the damn devil, for the white man. And they was in that country trying to actually do something. They was out there at college, trying to actually do something in their lives. And a lot of them said that they fled somewhere just to get there. And just as we recognize Ukraine and Russia, Gog and Magog, Revelations is real. The Bible is real. So Black, Hispanic, Native Indian, wake up.
That's right.
Appreciate that. From the comments, we got to arrive to the thought that there's definitely double standards on how immigration is implemented when it's concerning Ukrainians and Hispanics and Haitians. Seems to be a double standard, and unfortunately for the Hispanics and Haitians, seems like they're getting the worst end of the stick. So if I will, let's move on to the next question. And this one, for a lot of Hispanics, they know about this, DACA. This question is, do you think the city of Indianapolis brings awareness to Latinos about their children's rights to remain in the United States according to DACA, which is the Deferred Action for Children or Childhood Arrivals policies? So, and to get more into DACA, that's for children under the age of, well, let me read the definition of dreamer. Now, this is what they classify as someone that would go under the DACA policy, a dreamer. And it reads, the individual must have proof that they have entered the United States before the age of 16 and must have continuously lived in the country for at least 5 years, have graduated from a United States high school or obtained a GED in the U.S., demonstrate good moral character. So, in order for a dreamer to have consideration under the DACA plan, he needs to meet all, or he or she needs to meet all these qualifications. So let me restate the question. Do you think the city of Indianapolis brings awareness to Latinos about their children's rights to remain in the United States according to DACA policies?
I'll start on that. When I went to high school at Tech High School here in Indianapolis, 2008, 2011, I had Mexican classmates. And sometimes they would make jokes when immigration stuff would come up about swimming across the river and this and this and that. But I'll tell you this, Mexicans don't have security in this country. They don't feel secure and safe in this country. They don't feel like they can live here, even if they was illegally, or now they got a right to be here, or now they went around the system with this and that. They don't feel, even when they here legally, they don't feel safe in this country. They always feel like they could be snatched out of this place. And I say for every black man who thinks that we above that, we used to feel that way too during slavery, when we used to escape to the north. And we didn't have no assurity or nothing like that. Any brothers watching online or anybody learning, read Deuteronomy chapter 28, and it'll tell you, all these things that will happen to us. All these curses and things. So our Mexican brothers, just be sure they don't feel safe here. Ukrainians, Afghanistans, they feel fine. They know they're here. They know they can't nobody make them leave. But our Hispanic brothers, they're always under threat of the gun, of being deported, and all their belongings being taken away from them, and the white man take it all and sell it, and take their house, take their car, take their van, take their ladders, take every damn piece of roofing equipment they have, and they'll never see it again. So they always under that threat, even when they're here legally. So I don't think Indiana does enough at all. I think Indiana does more to destroy their confidence than to build their confidence.
I appreciate that. Anybody else want to talk about it concerning DACA?
And I'll tell you this: the Mexican brothers feel so like estranged in this country, in this kingdom, and they feel so that they gotta hide so much that our Mexican neighbors are fearful of coming over here and being a part of this discussion. We have 2 Mexican neighbors. I just went in their house and talked to them, but they have more fear to come in and talk something like this than feel confidence. So Indiana, you must do better. You understand? You got to do better other than oppress and scare and fear our Mexican people. You understand? It is not right, and they shouldn't be living under these conditions.
Right.
You understand?
Well, that's really a heavy comment because we had 2 IMPD. Was that how you say IPMD?
IMPD
officers here
Metropolitan Police.
who have links with ICE. Perhaps they seen them and just decided they didn't want to have anything to do with it.
Yeah.
You know, so that's one thing, you know, that we need to tackle in the Black and Latino community. So with that said, let's move to the next line of questioning, and that's concerning Black and Latino businesses here in Indianapolis. So the first question is going to be, does the city of Indianapolis support Black and Latino businesses? Anybody want to tackle that one? All right.
I just want to make a quick comment on Black and Latino businesses. You know, not long ago did we just celebrate the 100-year anniversary of the burning down of Black Wall Street, and it rose so fast to scare the oppressor. If you know anything about what happened in Oklahoma, us blacks, we raised Black Wall Street so fast, you could almost say it was overnight. And not to get long-winded, because I'm not, but we did that. Who destroyed it? You know, we gotta separate from our oppressors. That's all I gotta say.
Appreciate that comment. Let's clap it up.
How many more topics?
We got 2 more questions, and that will conclude City Hall.
To what?
So the present question, does the city of Indianapolis support Blacks or Black and Latino businesses?
If I could just make a quick comment, and I'm not an avid listener to the radio, but I know on Tuesdays, I think her name is Kathy, she comes on, she talks about how important it is to spend with Black businesses, and she selects 3 Black businesses every Tuesday, so every week. And to me, that is, you know, I've seen more out of that program than anything else, because she not only highlights 3 Black businesses every week, but she came back and said that it's actually working. So businesses are actually seeing it lift in that. I don't see the government of Indianapolis doing anything like that, pushing any Black businesses, supporting. Of course, I don't listen to the Hispanic radio channel, so I can't speak for like the Latin channels in particular, but for Black, I see us doing more for ourselves than the government could ever do.
Appreciate that comment.
And if I could, I'll say one comment on it too. When it comes, a few questions I have for the Black and Latino businesses. A few of them were invited tonight. Vaden's Gun Store out on 10th Street, one of the only Black gun stores in the state, I believe. The 299 Shoe Warehouse on 16th Street. It's a clothing store run by a Black man. And one thing I'm worried about is when the city has these large construction projects. Sometimes they put these construction projects in Black neighborhoods. Do they compensate the businesses for stopping the traffic and stopping their customers from driving through the streets? That's what I've always wondered. Because I remember there was a sister when we was on 10th Street. We had our building on 10th Street, 10th and Road. A sister opened up a tax business on 10th and Keelan, but they had a huge construction project that lasted almost a whole year right in front of her business. And I wondered, are they going to pay her any money for putting a big construction project and stopping traffic so she can't get no goddamn customers? Like, what the hell is the city doing? You're supposed to be helping businesses, not destroying them. You destroying businesses with these construction things. Are you giving them, look, we're going to give you $1,000 a month for stopping half your business, or send us your numbers so we can give you your numbers back so you don't be out of money by all the business you're losing by us putting a big what's some big diggers, a big crane in front of your business for 6 months. Right. And I wonder if they do that to the Israelite school, what are they going to do then? They're going to put a big crane in front of our school so nobody can drive by and see our businesses and we can get more students? So that's one thing I do wonder about Indianapolis, because I see it happening in our communities. In the white communities, they'll do construction, they'll be done. They ain't going to have no construction project lasting those 6 months over there. You're going to see construction, boop, boop, boom, bam. You rarely see construction last long over there. But what are they doing for us? Like the brother has a comment here. Go ahead.
Sorry. Piggyback off what you said, on 10th Street, I seen a Taki area. I'm not even pronounce it. It was a bakery.
Yeah, I know who you're talking about.
Frequent round the corner.
I love that taco shop. Yeah.
Yeah, and that place shut down after that. And I worked in Noblesville. When they're doing a huge road work there, but they routed. They routed where all the businesses still be able to get their business. Unlike like here, there wasn't no way to route the customers into their parking lot because it's all blocked out. They don't give a damn.
Right.
If I may interject, when you say Noblesville, what's the demographic of that community?
I would say 80% Caucasian, 20% other.
All right. I appreciate that. So it seems like there's you got a question?
Oh,
yeah, you could. Please.
Just had to make one more comment, speaking on, since you're specific on Indianapolis and Indiana as a whole. This is, hell no, they don't care about blacks and Latino business. This is the home of the KKK. And they still dwell here. You know, you got these officers just 2 years ago, perfect example. You got these officers, they take their badge off and they put on a Proud Boys, Oath Keeper, 3%, militia, white supremacist persona. Half of the people that did that Capitol riot, Indiana. If you didn't pay attention, all them RVs, I've seen thousands of RVs leaving Indiana heading that way. You know, so no, Indiana in the whole don't care about blacks and Latino business. Shalak.
Wow, that was very powerful and heartfelt. So the city of Indianapolis definitely needs to engage the black and Latino community. They had an opportunity tonight. We invited them. Didn't anybody show up? It's kind of like what Cap said. They have something better to do than to, meet the needs of their so-called constituents. So with that said, let's move to the next question. Now, I know a brother was talking about we should barter in the black and Latino community. You have tomatoes, you have watermelons, you have chickens. So with that in mind, does Indianapolis have too many codes or permits for blacks and Latinos to have successful, thriving businesses? Anybody like to?
I'd like to talk about some experience of that. Yes, I believe they do. And they're strong to enforce it on the black businesses. I remember when we was on 10th Street, there was a shop called the Coney Island Hot Dogs that was ran by a brother. And we asked him, man, we come get hot dogs. Why come you don't have no seats and no chairs in here? It was just like you walk up, ain't no chairs. He said, because we don't have a public bathroom, we can't have no chairs. I said, well, hell, the Chinese restaurant don't have no public bathroom. Also, Tarak, the gas station don't have no public bathroom. All these other people don't have no public bathroom. So how do they got chairs in their spot?
Right.
This is how Tarap used to bring out how they do. They say they bathroom don't work. So they got all these ways to get around. What the city of code enforcement is supposed to say? Look, you ain't had no working bathroom in 10 years. Mr. Ching Chung Lung, you're supposed to have a bathroom now. Right. But they don't enforce them codes on them other people like they enforce them on black businesses, man. Right. And if there's any other black businesses, you'll know. You can speak on, online and everything like that. Or brothers know black businesses that had to deal with code problems, Yeah, you want the right codes, but what happens is the oppressor uses all these codes as an occasion to oppress you and to stop your progress.
Right.
That's what they do.
Well, and if I may interject, okay, let's say a brother wants to grow a couple of tomatoes in his backyard or collect rainwater, or he decides, well, this person down the street has watermelons, I have tomatoes. Do you think that the city should involve themselves in the personal affairs of blacks and Latinos that's basically bartering? Should they get their cut in taxes? I mean, that's what we need to arrive to, because with the food prices, that's what it's coming down to. Us growing our own foods, us providing our own livestock, and it seems like the city of Indianapolis is over permitting and coding the black and Latino community specifically. So that's one thing that we need to consider. And let me see.
Thanks so much, man. Yes,
Yeah.
Not only what you saying, but like them city ordinances and things as such. I'd be bold enough to say 80% of them ain't even against the law. No crime has been committed. But that's what they will use. That they'll put them fines on you when we're already trying to just make it. They gonna harass you. I mean, just to go all the way deep. You can shoot a gun all day out in the country. You just can't shoot one in the city because it's a sound ordinance violation. It's a city ordinance violation, but they went ahead and made it a misdemeanor. There's just so much stuff, like you speaking on, growing fruits and vegetables, having chickens,
right? Goats,
anything. To be dependent on oneself, on yourself. Hey. Once again, this is the home. Indiana is the home of the KKK. Hell no, they don't want no blacks and Latinos and Native Indians coming together.
And if I could, when we first got this building, we erected a sign, and they came in and told us we had to take our sign down.
Right.
They said, "Oh, you needed this, you needed that, just to have a piece of wood on the front of your spot to advertise." This is what we're talking about. So now we got to pay a lawyer all this money. We got to appear in front of you just to get a sign set up. You see what I'm saying? This is the type of thing that black people have to run into when they try to become entrepreneurial in certain aspects. You understand? When they do certain things, I think there's a lot more problems than solutions when it comes to the black and Latino businesses getting what they need from the state of Indiana.
Yeah, and if I may, including grants. Because during the time of COVID, a lot of, you would say our opposites, got a lot of grants, not business loans, but grants as startups. And a lot of black and Latino businesses did not even get the word of getting those grants. Mm-hmm.
Especially Latino businesses, like one of our taco shops, the Taquera on 10th and Keelan area, that got shut down during the pandemic too. And that was a good restaurant there, but we always used to go there.
Well said. So with that, we got one more question for tonight, and that is, do you think the city works with small black and Latino businesses to help them grow compared to other races?
I'll speak on it first. I don't believe the state of Indiana is working with black and Latino businesses for us to grow and prosper. I think they're working, like I said in the statement earlier, they're working against us more than working for us. like I said, even with us with the sign ordinance, they didn't say, well, look, you can't put up a sign here, but look, we got to figure out a way to help you out. They didn't say that. They said, look, you can't put up a sign, you need to take it down. If you want to put up a sign, you got to do all this, that, and the third. Give me a list of 300 things that I got to do to put up a damn piece of sign. So that's what our school here. I hate to imagine what the average Black and Latino business is going through. What the average Black and Latino business is, how much help they're getting. We didn't get no help from the State Department to do what we need to do. So I don't, unless there's some Black and Latino business that can come online or speak on this video, put in the comment section later when you watch the recording, and you can say the state of Indiana helped you get your business off the ground because they did this, that, and the third. I've yet to see it or hear it. That's just me personally. So if anybody else know anything about that.
Go ahead.
If I may, not only do they not support businesses here in Indiana, I just want to go ahead and say this, and this is personal. The true Jews, we are known that. It's known, they hit the four corners of the earth. Blacks, Hispanics, and Natives, we're the true Jews. We can't even get reparations to start our own business because the minute we do, it's going to be Black Wall Streets on every corner. You understand? And that's one thing I know that the oppressor doesn't want to see happen.
All right, well said. Really appreciate that. So, if there's no more questions in the room, I would like to thank everyone for coming up. Give yourselves a hand. I'd like to thank Commanding General Yahana for presenting this City Hall meeting. I'd like to thank our host, Captain Kapaj, for sponsoring this City Hall, and also our panelists for their comments. Let's thank them. So if you are in the Indianapolis area, make sure you get in contact with the ISUPK, and the address is, if you could,
3532 North Keystone Avenue. Website, isupk.com. Phone number 317-453-0519.
well said. The ISUPK has been helping Blacks and Latinos and Indigenous people since 1969. Spiritually, mentally, and physically, with our food programs, our clothing programs, and our counseling programs, and beyond. So make sure you consider making a donation. Go to that website, isupk.com, and donate if you want to see tangible change in the Black and Latino community here in Indianapolis and worldwide. We have a school in every major city, just about.
And overseas in Trinidad and the UK. We have our schools out there, and our school in Mexico and in Brazil. So we definitely helping our people all over the world.
That's right.
Well said. And with that, that concludes the City Hall. Thank you for coming out.
Still a little music. That's